Hi, it's Barry Neal here. I'd like to invite you to my next webinar, which is on a subject which I'm sure will probably resonate with many of you who are watching this, and that is how to overcome a broken heart. Now, this is probably something we've all experienced at one point in our lives, and as you probably are aware, it's extremely painful. And for some people, they never quite move on. For some people, they can be so desperate that they even have suicidal ideation. So it's something that we need to address. And as a therapist, it's a skill that if you learn, you can build a really good reputation on. It's a hot topic. Certainly it's a niche that you can get into, and it's a hot topic that can get you onto the radio stations or into the local papers, things like this, or on blogging and things like that. If you become an expert in your area on how to help someone with a broken heart, you're going to get some good publicity, and more importantly, you're going to help a lot of people, because there are so many people who suffer in silence with a broken heart. I can't begin to tell you how many people I've worked with over the years who have pined and pined and pined after the end of a relationship. Some people never having got back into a relationship after 10, 20, even 30 years, because they were so traumatized and so hurt by the past relationship that part of them just said, no way am I going into another relationship again. And to me, that's tragic. We need to get in there. We need to jump in and help these people overcome these problems. So let's look at what we're going to cover in this really powerful workshop that we're going to do online. And that is, first of all, we're going to learn about how to use reframing, and so that we can really change their perspective about how they think about the breakup. It's really important to be able to change their perspective so they think differently about it. And one of the ways we can do that is by using global beliefs and putting the power of a global belief on that situation, which can completely reframe it in a positive light. So that's one of the first skills that we want to learn, because we can do this conversationally. It doesn't require hypnosis or NLP or anything. It's just purely conversational reframing. The next technique that we're going to learn is a really, really powerful method of helping people change how they think about the person or their ex, or the relationship. And that is by using sub-modalities. Now, if you don't know what sub-modalities are, that's okay, we'll talk about that then. But basically, they're the building blocks of experience. So we're going to use sub-modalities to change literally how they see their ex when they think about them. And by changing the way they see them, it's going to change the way they feel about that person. So that person can no longer affect them in the way they did. So it's a really powerful technique. We're then going to use a technique called how to fall out of love. Now, this process is a really powerful process. It's a natural process that we all have done, and it uses association and dissociation to change the way we think about the relationship, so that we become dissociated from all the good stuff and we associate to all the bad stuff, and we're then glad it's over. We can then move on. We're not going to be pining for that person for the rest of our lives. We're then going to be looking at using certain tapping techniques, because the reality is, for many people, a relationship breakup is a trauma, particularly if you didn't know it was coming. So it can be very, very traumatic on the person. So we want to look at some of the ways that we can help them resolve the trauma. Tapping is one of the easiest ways of helping them to do that, because it's not only something that we can do with them in the session, but we can give them those tools to use at home between sessions to really resolve some of those issues. We're then going to be using a visualization process that creates a new future for them. For many people, when they have a breakup, they can't see the way ahead. They can't imagine a future, because their future has always been imagined with this other person. Well, we need to get them to begin to see that there is a future out for them that is going to be probably even better than what they've had in the past. So we want to be able to use this visualization process to really help them move on, and in fact actually look forward to a bright, new, compelling future, one in which they've filled it with all the things they want to fill it with. So we want to really build a good future for them, give them a reason to carry on. We're then going to look at a really powerful pattern, and this is a pattern that it's always in my back pocket when I'm working with someone with this sort of thing. It's not something I'm going to use straight away, but if I'm working with someone who's in a destructive relationship, or they keep cycling back, you know, they're in the relationship, they have a big bust up, they hate the person, they walk away, and a couple of weeks later they go back and they do it all again. They keep going through this destructive pattern of in and out of the relationship. You often hear this with people who are in abusive relationships. For whatever reason, they stay in them. And we might think, well, why do they stay in them? Well, it's because of this mental process that they're going through. Well, this technique runs them through this process and will literally take them over threshold, so that it's literally, they get to the point where enough is enough. We get to the final straw that breaks the camel's back, and they're done with it. Now, this is a really, it's a very powerful pattern, but it's kind of like a permanent pattern. So I'm not going to use this for the average person, but if and when it's needed, it is really powerful. It's also really good for someone who may have been pining for someone for years. You know, they've never moved on, and they keep thinking about this person, thinking, you know, someday he's going to come back, someday he's going to come back, when the reality is he's not. So it's a really powerful pattern to shift the way they think in those situations. And then finally, we're going to be looking at a technique about how to have them love themselves again. Because for many people who've been through a relationship, particularly if they've been in an abusive relationship, they may have self-esteem issues. They may have been nagged and told they're not good enough, they're not pretty enough, they're not slim enough, they're not this enough, and they believe it. So what we want to do is to change that. So we're going to be looking at a really powerful technique that is going to teach them to love themselves. And of course, if they love themselves, that in themselves, they'll become more lovable. So it's a really powerful, powerful process. So this is what we're going to be covering in this new webinar. And it's going to be about 2.5 hours long. And we're going to get through all these techniques and explain them thoroughly. You're going to get all the handouts for them. We're also going to have times for questions at the end. So if there's anything you need to ask and anything you're not totally clear on, we'll get to cover that, so that when you leave the webinar the following day, you can literally use these tools with your new clients. And you can really build a solid relationship and a reputation for being able to help people in these situations. And this is, you know, it's just real reputation builder stuff. You can get on radio, you can get on newspapers, you can even get on TV as being the person who can help people overcome bad breakups. So it's about 2.5 hours long. You get plenty of time for questions. You get all the handouts. So if you want to attend this training on Zoom, please sign up now, because like my previous trainings, I limit them down. I don't want to have too many people on, because you get too many people on, you get too many questions, and nobody ends up getting the information. So it's going to be limited to a specific number of people. Once that, it's all set up on Zoom, so once that number is filled, you can't get on. But if you want to get on, please sign up now. If you're not sure if you can make the date, that's fine, because it's going to be recorded. As long as you registered, then you'll get access to the recordings. And of course, when you've been through the webinar, if you want to review it, you get access to the replay. So there you go. I hope to see you soon. This is going to be a really fun, powerful, powerful webinar that's going to help you really be able to help some clients who really need help. So I hope to see you soon, and keep in touch. And by the way, if after the program you need any help, all you have to do is to email me or send me a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'm only too happy to help people who want to help others reach their goals. So hope to see you soon.